Et quand Mme van der Leyen disait, bon, nous, on va instaurer une taxe à la frontière, ça, qu'est-ce que le Canada en pense de ça?
Vous avez peut-être déjà entendu la vice-première ministre, Mme Freeland, parler de ça également. Elle a amorcé des conversations avec l'Union européenne, avec les États-Unis, spécifiquement sur cette question-là. Je pense que ce qu'on a entendu ce matin, c'est que cette idée-là, c'est un peu en dépit. L'idéal, ce serait qu'on aurait un prix sur la pollution à l'échelle mondiale. À défaut d'avoir un prix mondial sur la pollution, bien là, on va se rabattre sur ces taxes-là d'ajustement aux frontières en provenance de pays qui ne mettent pas en place des mesures pour lutter contre les changements climatiques.
Mais on disait que c'est justement que ça devenait un casse-tête pour les entreprises qui ne savent plus, je m'excuse, il y a comme un système qui n'est pas pareil partout, là, ça devient contre-productif.
Bien, c'est plus compliqué, certainement. Alors, ce qui est plus simple, c'est d'avoir un prix mondial sur la pollution. À défaut d'avoir ça, et comme on veut lutter contre les changements climatiques et comme on veut essayer de ne pas dépasser 1,5 degré Celsius, bien, il faut se rabattre sur d'autres mesures. Et peut-être que le simple fait de parler de ces mesures-là va inciter les pays récalcitrants à dire, bon, ben, je vais payer de toute façon. Alors, aussi bien avoir le contrôle, aussi bien le faire moi-même que de me le faire imposer.
Just in English again, how realistic is it of implementing some kind of global baseline, at least, in the coming day and years from now?
If we, and some of us have tried to have this conversation 15 years ago, or 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago, and there was very little appetite for it. And what we heard this morning very clearly from a number of governments, Sweden, the European Union, Canada, obviously, but also from business leaders, from international institutions like the World Bank and the IMF, is that not only is it possible to do it, but we need to do it if we want to have a chance of not reaching 1.5 degrees Celsius in global average temperatures. And there is a huge appetite, like I've never seen before. Now, I'm not saying it's a done deal, clearly. There's a lot of work to be done, but maybe Glasgow is the moment where we start to have that conversation and we build over time this system so that it is in place by 2030.
Minister, when you look at the postures of countries like India who won't even commit to net zero till 2070, and China's sort of lack of engagement, here, I mean, can you really, how meaningful can that be if those big economies, for example, aren't meeting sort of the bare standards of this COP?
I think part of the reason why we're here is to talk to each other. After the workshop, a representative from a developing country came to see me and said, this is really interesting. So you're recycling revenues to households, so you're making sure that they're not bearing the brunt of emission reduction, of fighting climate change. Can we talk about it? And we agreed to organize a joint workshop where Canada would present everything that we've been doing in how we've elaborated our system, so that in fact we are sending the type of signals to the market so that private sector innovates, they reduce their emissions, but that fighting climate change is not on the shoulders of households. And I think this is something that speaks volume to a number of developing country representatives here, saying, oh, well, maybe this is something we could do too.
What do you do about the United States, where carbon pricing is a radical right-wing idea, and you need them, and Canada needs them to come along if we're going to have some kind of global system?
Well, I was talking about a representative from a developing country that came to see me wanting more information. We've heard the same thing from U.S. lawmakers who've said that they wanted to sit down with us and better understand how our system worked, because maybe this is something they would want to do in the U.S. Now, I'm not in a position to answer questions about the U.S. political dynamics. You'd have to ask someone from the United States. But I think that even in the United States, there is a growing conversation about this.
Can you speak to why a global carbon tax would be better than a carbon border adjustment tax, and why that might be preferential for Canada to push for global pricing?
Well, I think first and foremost, from a national country perspective, it's better to create your own system, manage it, and ensure that we have this conversation, these standards internationally on carbon pricing, than having a bunch of different countries coming up with their own carbon border adjustment system, which may differ one from the other greatly, and it is really a reactionary measure. It's not proactive. So I think it's for most of the countries in the world, it's better to be proactive about this than us and Canada and the European Union, Japan, the US, putting in place those border tax adjustments. But if it's the only thing we can do to ensure that global emissions are being reduced, then we might have to do it. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Have we proven that it works though? It's so new. I mean, how do we know it actually? How can we?
Well, the model of BC, we have to remember the price on pollution in Canada builds on the model of other provinces. So British Columbia has shown it works. Quebec has shown it works. And I think there's a lot of discussion here about carbon pricing and getting a global price. That's very ambitious. Even if we don't get a global price, having different countries come to the table, we're only over 20% of emissions have a price on pollution, and it's absurd. That right now it's a market failure because it's free for companies to pollute, and that's not acceptable. And so something that Canada can be very proud of, but also help provide leadership to other
Canada
countries.
need to do what Europe did and put in a border carbon adjustment in order to encourage this global idea?
I think there's a lot of discussion of border carbon adjustments, and I mean I think it's a way to get countries to consider putting a price on pollution, because if you don't have it, you could be impacted. I mean, you have to be careful that it's not a barrier to trade. Trade is incredibly important, but yeah, I mean, I think, look, we have to figure out, it's all hands on deck, and I know that there's a lot of focus here on is there going to be enough ambition, but ambition goes beyond just what countries do. It's, you know, what businesses are doing, what philanthropists are doing. So getting the world off coal faster or having these discussions with industry about a price on pollution is really important.
You know more than anyone how much of a slog it was to get a carbon tax in Canada. How likely are we to get every country on board with a global carbon tax?
Well, I think the nice thing about Canada's model is the majority of Canadians get more money back. And I think that's critical because people have to be at the heart of climate policy, and we fought very hard. Now, you may remember we had to go to the Supreme Court fighting Conservative premiers, which was really unfortunate. But the good news is it held at the Supreme Court. It was well within the federal government's right to do this. And the model we adopted that was flexible, I think, was the right one. So it's a great, when I talk to countries around the world, they're very interested because, of course, you have to think about people. Of course, you have to think about costs. And we've shown, you know, people can get more money back while still having an effective market signal. I have to go. Thank you.